Director Heckles, I think we have a majority of collaborative members on the call now.
Wonderful, and thank you, Alex. And let me start by apologizing. I am still en route to where I can get on my computer and open up um, my screen. I Today is the day that the city of Wilmington is installing pallets and tents at the Christina Riverfront, and I stopped by to just take a look at that process, and just got delayed getting back for this meeting. So apologies, and thanks for hanging in there. So we will call to order the meeting of the Interagency Collaborative to End Homelessness. Alex, we don't usually do sort of a roll call, but since we're remote and can't see each other, that might be a good thing for us to do. Or do
Sounds
you think
good.
it's captured well enough in the recording? Up to you.
We could do a roll call, if you don't mind. Or Ashley actually suggested just putting it in the chat. That might work.
Okay, let's do that. All right, so the meeting purpose for today, it's been now several months since this group got together, and so we need to update everyone on the what the collaborative has sort of been doing in the absence of meeting. And then also, this is, I think, very much an inflection point for the work of the collaborative that we've been preparing for since really the beginning of the work of the collaborative here, and that staff at DSHA, and in particular, Alex and Michelle and Alice and that group have been focused on for the past few months here. Um, do Alex, do we have to approve minutes and that kind of thing?
I don't believe we have generally or
Okay.
historically, so should be good.
Well then let's jump in. Again, I apologize for being a little discombobulated here. So the first of all, as you all are aware, the collaborative issued a first interim report in advance of the due date. That report was published on the collaborative's website that's hosted by DSHA. Um, and included information about the collaborative, about its meetings, about the listening sessions that we held to get public input from providers and people experiencing homelessness directly all across the state, that we did really for the first 6 months or so of the collaborative's work. That report was submitted before the end of the calendar year, and also looked at some of the sort of the conclusions that we drew from our first few months of conversation there. Primarily, that for us to re-envision the way the state is providing services and resources to people experiencing homelessness, that we needed to focus in four specific high-level areas. One being outreach and prevention. Um, the sufficiency of supportive services, shelter capacity, exit strategies, and really focusing on those high level issues. One of the things that I think is a barrier to solutions as groups like this get together is trying to do too much all at once. And so our conversations before we sort of took this little winter break was around creating subcommittees, subgroups that would take those bite-sized pieces and work on them. And so that is what we're really here to talk about. We've made some progress on that front. And I think maybe at this point, Alex, if you would like to run through that presentation, and then we'll open it up for questions and comments and any other updates that we have after that.
Sounds good, Director Eccles. So I'll be sharing my screen now. I'll ensure everyone can see once it's shared. Beginning. Awesome. Can everyone see the screen? I actually can't see everyone, but thumbs up. Everyone can see it. Okay, sorry.
Well, yeah, I'm like, not anymore. What did you do? All right, I see it now.
Screen's awesome. Well, as Director Heckel said, we'll go through kind of how we got here in terms of that phase 1 report, do a little bit of a recap of that, and then go into the subcommittees in terms of what those subcommittees are, the structure, and kind of the plan going forward, as well as kind of delegating what will be the responsibility of the chairs and the co-chairs of those subcommittees, as well as DSHA's responsibilities. And then we'll talk about next steps after that sort of just next step kind of conversation. I'll have some time for questions from collaborative members, as well as a discussion on that if need be. And then last but not least, we will do a little public comment. But I really want to thank everyone for being here. I know it's been a while, but it's great to see everyone, and I hope everyone is well. Yeah, I look forward to this presentation. So without further ado, I'll get started. So kind of just to start with a recap of the phase 1 report. I know Director Heckel spoke to that report that was published in December, but just want to provide a little bit more insight in sort of, kind of to help ground us in the work that has been completed up to date. And so how we got here. Four kind of primary ways in which, we as a group informed ourselves in compiling this phase 1 report. We did a lot of collaborative engagement. Obviously, a lot of cross-agency collaborative meetings from May to September. We had 4 in total. And we also participated in different events as well. We did the University of Delaware Homelessness Conference in August. And kind of at these meetings, as well as at these events, we talked a lot about service gaps, fragmentation, and capacity issues in the homelessness system. We did a lot of data and system assessment, everything from point in time count data to statewide trends. I know at the first meeting, DSHA and Rachel Stucker from Housing Alliance Delaware presented on this. And then we also looked at funding and program mapping in conjunction with Dr. Steve Metro from University of Delaware. He presented his findings from a survey DSHA had distributed to all the collaborative members on homelessness funding. And so all that information informed our findings with this phase 1 report. We also did community voice. Unhoused, Not Unheard was the campaign name, listening sessions. We did statewide listening sessions, about 10 in total. We did these events at food banks, at public libraries, at the Hope Center, at homeless shelters, really intentional about getting that public feedback, as well as people currently experiencing homelessness. And we did digital surveys. This was a broad outreach campaign. As a group, we incorporated that feedback into our phase 1 report. And then last but not least, external and expert input. I referenced the University of Delaware conference, also the COC's blueprint to address homelessness plan, looking at best practices such as that. And so, I say all this to say that, we really did a great job. It wasn't just agency driven, but it was informed by data, providers, and people experiencing homelessness. So thank you to everyone for your input and participation, and getting this report done. And then what we delivered, a big part of that report was the recommendations, the kind of the roadmap, so to speak. And so this roadmap, I think, as a lot of people know, first off, reaching people where they are, doing things such as expanding outreach and improving coordinated intake, having better access to the services in the homelessness system, getting out there via outreach, then focusing on that next step of emergency shelter and navigation, looking at Hope Center expansion, aligning funding, and maintaining low barrier access, as well as expanding low barrier access across the state. And then the third part of this continuum, the exits and long-term stability side of things. So thinking about creation of permanent housing, streamlining rapid rehousing, what are the exit strategies? How can we get people into the homelessness system, have them find shelter and supportive services, and then how can we provide exits for them that are successful? And so that's really most of the recap. Now the focus shifts to implementation, and how we execute on these recommendations in a coordinated and accountable way. And as Director Beckles...
Alex, sorry to interrupt, but you need to move your slides forward.
Oh, sounds good. So subcommittees. So to accomplish the implementation of these initiatives, we need to align collaborative members' focus with specialized leadership across Delaware. So we're doing that through the creation of these 10 subcommittees.
Alex, I'm sorry again, but technology is not your friend today. We are still on the title slide. There you go.
All right.
Oh. So sorry. Can everyone see it now? Okay.
Yes.
My apologies. Do I need to go back at all?
No, I think you covered the material well, but as you're getting into sort of the path forward, I think it's important to have these in front of you.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome. So slide 6, as I said, to accomplish the implementation of these initiatives, we need to align the collaborative members' focus with specialized leadership across Delaware. And so we're doing that with the formation of these 10 subcommittees. Each subcommittee will focus on a specific part of the homelessness continuum, be led by subject matter experts, and those subject matter experts will drive progress within that area. As you can see here with this table, some will operate sequentially along the continuum, speaking to those 5 there on the left, while others will support all areas of the continuum with those 5 on the right. This structure will allow us to move multiple work streams forward at the same time, leverage everyone's expertise effectively, and get public input along the way, and ensure accountability for progress. So looking at these subcommittees, so these 5 to the left are the subcommittees along the homelessness continuum. And to the right here on the slide, you see who we've communicated with and who has accepted to either chair or co-chair that respective subcommittee. So the prevention subcommittee, we have Representative Johnson and Secretary Moultrie. chairing that subcommittee, co-chairing. We do not yet have a chair for the Street Outreach and Engagement Subcommittee, but we're figuring that out as we speak. The Coordinated Entry Subcommittee, that will be chaired by Director Heckles. The Shelter Capacity and Operations Subcommittee, that will be chaired by Carrie Casey. And then the Transitional and Supportive Housing Subcommittee, that will be chaired by Susan Kent and Sarah Kiefer. And on the left, I won't go word for word, but you can see the respective missions of each subcommittee. And then we have the 5 subcommittees that are considered kind of the supportive, supporting the continuum subcommittees. We have the Community Education and Advocacy Subcommittee. This is co-chaired by Senator Lockman and Saran Cade. We have the Data and Outcomes Subcommittee. This will be co-chaired by Rachel Stucker and Brandy Nauman. We have the Youth Subcommittee. This will be chaired by Secretary Steve Yateman. We have the Code Purple Subcommittee. This will be chaired by Carrie Casey. And we have the Cycle Breaking Tools Subcommittee. This will be co-chaired by Commissioner Taylor and Secretary Link Young. And we'll be sure to share these slides and publicly post them as well. So if you don't get too much time to kind of read each description of the subcommittees, it will be publicly accessible for viewing. So in terms of kind of delegating responsibilities between the chairs and the co-chairs, as well as DSHA, the chairs and co-chairs, as far as what we've communicated to them in terms of responsibilities, obviously to lead the subcommittee members towards advancing and implementing initiatives, and specifically those goals outlined in those subcommittee descriptions. Scheduling the meetings. I think in our initial invitations, we had mentioned monthly meetings, but we would like to kind of have that at the chair's discretion if they would like monthly meetings or bi-monthly meetings, really at your discretion in terms of what you feel like is most effective towards achieving those respective goals. Sharing Zoom and Teams links, as well as attending quarterly collaborative meetings and presenting those subcommittee updates. Moving forward, the collaborative's role becomes more of a steering and alignment group. We've set the direction. We'll monitor progress and ensure coordination across subcommittees. So these quarterly collaborative meetings will be kind of subcommittee check-in meetings, and that's when we'll hope to really see that cross coordination happen between groups. And then as far as DSHA's responsibilities, we will ensure that meetings are posted to the public calendar. We will ensure that opportunities for public comment are provided. And we will also help produce meeting minutes for each subcommittee. So next steps in terms of after this meeting. So DSHA will send the chairs or co-chairs the list of subcommittee members who have accepted invitation. And to kind of backtrack a little bit, obviously we've sent the invitations to chair subcommittees to the collaborative members, and thank you for everyone getting back and accepting those positions. And so following that feedback from collaborative members, we have sent invitations to subcommittee members and have gotten responses. So DSHA will follow up with the chairs and let them know which subcommittee members have accepted and which haven't. We would also encourage you to schedule the first subcommittee meeting. Could be really whenever, as I said, kind of on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, but just doing that outreach with your subcommittee and establishing a good time It could be a recurring meeting on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, or it could be non-recurring, whatever works best with you and your group. And then on our side, DSHA will schedule the first quarterly collaborative check-in meeting. So kind of based on timing, we'll hope to get something on the calendar for sometime in the summer, probably July or August, for that kind of first collaborative meeting that will serve as kind of a subcommittee check-in meeting. Awesome.
Well, thank you, Alex, and thanks for stepping in as I got more settled here. I appreciate it. This meeting, you may have sensed, is not going to plan, but going pretty well, I think. So thank you, not only for that, but you and your team, and Stephanie and Alice on the sort of the other part of the agency, but that whole sort of group at DSHA looking at homelessness issues and staffing this the work of this collaborative is really helpful. All right, so I don't have anything to add on that other than to just sort of reemphasize the high level hope here, and that is that that we're really looking for the collaborative as established in the executive order to maintain an umbrella role, a steering role with these subcommittees. The reason that we're breaking out these subcommittees into their different charges and the work that they're being tasked to look at and solutions that they're tasked to come up with is that it's very easy, I think, especially in homelessness work to get lost in the all of the different things that you have to think about to do this work right. And so one of the things that I will emphasize is that we've thought through these subcommittees, and we think that we have a good list of 10 of them. We think that we have good charges for each of them. We are trying to put that puzzle together as well. So if we've missed a piece, we can. This is a dynamic process that is sort of under the control of the collaborative and its members going forward. So this is our best guess and to get us going. But as these subcommittees work, as they start to dive into the issues, if we need to revise that list, we certainly can. The only other piece that I'll say is sort of advice for the subcommittees, and that is to stay focused on your charge. If we believe that these are the 10 subcommittees, that these are the 10 charges that will move us forward as a state, as a full entity, then it's really important the whole point of breaking it out into this way is that each group is focused on their tasks, and so to the extent possible, stick to that, and trust that your colleagues on the other side are also doing the same thing, and that all together we'll come back together and have a good path forward. I know, Alex, you mentioned a few sort of looking out into the future. My sort of internal clock on the work of these subcommittees is about to start a 6-month process. I think, Alex, you're talking about some sort of interim steps, but I'd really love for us to get back in 6 months with some degree, and I think that it will change from task to task. But I think 6 months is a good time for us to get back together and see where those groups are. There's one that's focused on Code Purple, for example. And so if we think about 6 months from now, that's around October, and it would be great for that Code Purple group to have done some work and made some progress and maybe some recommendations, so that as we get into the next cold season, their work can be recognized. So, others, shelter capacity, for example, may take a little longer, and other parts of the work may as well. But we're hoping really that in a 6-month period here, that we're reactivating the work of this this collaborative and make some real progress. So I think I have exceeded my time, so I thank you for that. And let's take some questions or comments or advice. I see Brenda's hand raised.
Hi. How are you today? I just had a question. My name is Brenda Timmon Gunter. I'm from the Veterans Multi-Service Center. Uh, this is my first collaborative meeting. I was instructed to come here by my superiors. However, I was pre-warned that there were going to be different committees that you could that we should be adding ourselves to, if that is all possible. So my question was, how do we get on the committee of interest?
Yeah, and so that's the other really important part to this, right? Many hands make lighter work, and so beyond just these subcommittees sort of breaking out the issues, we're also looking to expand the number of people and the types of perspectives that we bring around the table. So I will defer to Alex maybe on sort of the logistics of that, but we certainly are looking for help, not just from collaborative members, but we can go outside of that initial sort of formally designated by by the governor and so on, the membership of these subcommittees.
Yeah.
So Alex, what method works best for that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a collaborative email, collaborative@delaware.gov. That's kind of a central contact for the collaborative. So we do have that email posted at the end of this presentation. Can always contact us with interest.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan.
I'll just give a recommendation. You said you were looking for chair for the street outreach and didn't know if you were in contact with Karen Record. She oversees PATH. And I think, thinking about it from the national, state, and local, she might have some good ideas for the PATH outreach, because that is how street outreach is funded in Delaware. I'm sure you guys have thought of that, but just wanted to give that connection.
We appreciate the recommendation, and we have been in contact with Karen, so we'll definitely take that recommendation. See, Joe Walls' hands raised. Hey, Joe. I think you're on mute. I think you're still on mute, Joe. I'm having trouble hearing. My apologies. Yeah, probably just some tech audio issues. Do we have any more hands for discussion or questions? Let's see. Oh, we have Amelia. And a question in the chat.
Got it to work delayed. It's basically, I'm just going to repeat the question that I put in the chat. Related to Brenda's question, would subcommittee members be made public? Just because we all work with some community partners that we may want to invite to bring into conversations with subcommittees, and would just want to not send people if they are already invited or a part of the committee to begin with.
Yeah, I'll definitely.
I got unmuted, Alex.
Awesome. I'll respond to Amelia's question quick, and then I'll get to you, Joe. I mean, I'll defer to Director Eccles on the final call for this, but I would assume that subcommittee members would be made public for each meeting. I know the subcommittee meetings themselves will be public meetings, so I'm sure roll call, and there'll be a list of members for each subcommittee. I think in terms of adding to those subcommittee lists, that might be a conversation between kind of DSHA as well as the subcommittee chairs in terms of who they may want to add to their respective subcommittees. Kind of the invitations we've sent out is a starting point based on feedback from the subcommittee, the collaborative members. But yeah, we can certainly talk how to kind of make additions if necessary. Director Heckles, anything to add to that one?
No, I think we'll need to look at the some of the open meeting requirements of and get back to you on that a little bit, maybe too. Probably through the chairs.
So thanks. Joe, I think you're off mute now.
Yes, sir. My name is Joe Walls. I'm the CEO of Veteran Services. I was looking through the committees that you have, and I assume that quite a few of the committees will be looking into the efficacy of the way funding is being spent. But it would be nice to have a committee, because I've been trying to track down how much is actually spent in the state of Delaware to solve this homelessness problem. And I mean, there's been hundreds of millions of dollars spent over the decades, and the problem seems to keep getting worse. And I don't see where people that are receiving these substantial funds are being held accountable for results. There seems to be, it would seem that maybe what we need is a committee that can look into exactly how much is being spent, who's spending it, and the results of the programs that they have. Thank you.
Appreciate that feedback. And I could see that, conversation pertaining to multiple of the subcommittees listed. I think both in terms of those on the continuum, but also those supporting the continuum. So I think that's a worthwhile conversation. Any additional questions or points of discussion? Susan?
Sorry, I have one more question. So our plan is to come back as this group in 6 months, and we will have met as our individual committees monthly leading up to that. I wanted to clarify that we as a collaborative will come back in 6 months and report back. Is that correct?
I would anticipate that we come back together more frequently than that. Yes. I don't think that we have a date for our next scheduled collaborative meeting yet, but I do believe that it's important for us to make sure that those different subcommittees are working, and there's nothing quite like a deadline to help people to
Absolutely.
focus their abilities, right? And so I would imagine that we'll want to see them get up and running, quickly over the next few weeks. Have a few a few conversations, and then talk about having a reporting out process of those committees. Um, we're thinking about October as another sort of that's a 6-month timeline. And like I said, I think as we enter into another cold season, it will be important for us to sort of have that be a marker, especially for some of the work that's being done by these subcommittees, depending on the subcommittee, to have some real progress made between now and then. Others are longer term. I don't know whether we will have new shelters built in the next 6 months.
No,
But I
that
but
would
I
be
do
lovely
hope
though.
but I do hope that we have a better response, quite frankly, to cold weather and the cold purple system that we had. Some of and maybe I'll take advantage of this sort of transition, but some of the work that DSHA did over the winter here was recognize that that there were some 2 significant snowstorms one with a little bit more lead time in terms of the weather forecasting, and the other was a little closer. And we made some phone calls to the system, the Code Purple system, and basically said, listen, if we didn't want to hear a week after the storm that someone was injured or worse because of the cold weather, because of being out in what was somewhat historically, at least in recent history in Delaware, a significant weather event. Not only the snow with the first storm, but the 2 weeks or so of extreme temperatures afterwards. And so we opened up an emergency line through the HDF to support those Code Purple agencies in their responses. And the message was basically like, listen, if you need money for motel vouchers, do it. If you need time for staffing or to open up, more space for people to come in than otherwise would be, let's go ahead and do that. Let's make sure that we're keeping people safe through that weather. The what that really opened my eyes to is that that was all fine and good sort of through those storms, and I think we pun intended here, I suppose, weathered them well. But it also exposed that absent those particular weeks of really bad weather, we didn't have a very good system, and that there were a lot of gaps in our Code Purple response. In Newcastle County, I think I'm a little more familiar, and this is part of what I want the subcommittee to start working on, is sort of like, what is the status quo? What happens now in terms of Code Purple? And in Newcastle County, they have several different locations. It's primarily run through Friendship House. They have locations in Wilmington and Newark and Middletown, but sometimes they can't open even though their policies would suggest that they should, because they don't have volunteer staffing. They don't have the people to be able to do that. And so that's a gap that we need to fill in. I would love for us to be in a world where Code Purple was not necessary, that we have a robust enough other parts of the system. But until that's the case, I think those harm reduction programs and concepts are really important. So that's the kind of stuff that I think we certainly don't want to wait, a couple of years to come out with some recommendations on Code Purple. It's going to be cold again before we know it, and so October is a good timeline for that. There may be some other parts of the work of these subcommittees that may have that kind of urgency, and then others I think are really looking at system change, and so that's not going to be done necessarily in 6 months. So I don't want to hold everyone to a very particular rigid sort of, this is what we need in 6 months, but I think that those groups are going to need to figure out what things they need to tackle quickly, and what things are sort of that longer, slower trudge of making it a better world. We talked a little bit about, so that was a little bit about what DSHA did during Code Purple. Obviously, that was an event for a lot of people here in Delaware. Joe, you brought up the budget. There are a couple of things I wanted to just update this group on as the state goes through its budget making process. Part of Joe, I'm not sure. I'm not going to argue your number, but when we did our review of state programs dedicated to homelessness specifically, we came up with very few. Essentially, the program run by DSHA, the Home for Good program, as well as the DHSS administered shelter and transitional housing program. In this year's budget, there's a new line item in DSHA's budget for $1 million for low barrier shelter operations. We will continue to run the Home for Good program. Through markup, the administration has agreement to move the shelter and transitional housing program to DSHA's administration. So we're consolidating those three primary state programs into one location. That will allow us to align policy among those three programs. It will allow us to create, allocate resources to different activities as we always have done, outreach or prevention or shelter or other. And sort of think of that strategy as a whole across all of those programs, which will hopefully be a more efficient deployment of those funds and with aligned policy. The third benefit, I think, is administrative. Having one sort of umbrella pot of money that organizations will apply to. And we can streamline reporting and all of that through that process as well. So absent more money, all of that is good. I'm not suggesting that is all the money that we need, but it is important for us to streamline and do the best and the most that we can with whatever funding is allocated through those line items. Other big picture sort of progress that's being made, through the Rural Health Transformation Grant. DSHA is tasked with the implementation of Hope Centers in Kent County and Sussex County. That's something that the governor's been talking about for a while, and so we're continuing that work and hoping that becomes a safety net for the safety net system across the state, in the same way that the Hope Center in Newcastle County, has seen that kind of benefit for people there. We certainly feel busy. Any other questions? I mean, again, for the most part, we wanted to get this group back together to sort of explain and get advice and sort of relaunch the work of this collaborative into a new phase, one where we are looking at those 10 individual charges and tasks and issue areas, and then starting the work of making progress on them. I don't see any. Thank you, Mimi. Mimi is active in the chat. I love it. I don't see any questions, though. Alex, did I forget anything?
I don't believe so. I think just public comment, opportunity for public comment. Any members of the public?
Super exclusive about our comments earlier, but if there are any official public comments, let us know. Raise your hand. I don't see any. Do you?
Nope.
Great. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone. And we will continue to work with the chairs of these subcommittees to make sure that they get up and running. Brenda, to your point, that they staff themselves with people to support the work that they're doing. and we certainly appreciate volunteerism. Again, we are going outside of just the membership, deliberately outside of the membership of the collaborative, so that we have more people with specific expertise. We're trying to tie people to the subcommittees that make most sense based on their expertise or their background or the organization that they work for. So we will continue that process and make sure that these groups get rolling. And then we'll also, Susan, to your point, set up some interim collaborative sort of check-in meetings. I would imagine that will take the form of, a timed, but hopefully efficient report out from the different subcommittees on what they've been doing. And all of that with sort of a 6-month time horizon to get to a more substantive sort of, I don't want to say completed process, but at least a phased completed process for those groups in that time. Anything else for the good of the cause? If not, thank you very much. Have a wonderful holiday weekend if you're celebrating, and we will be in touch soon. Thank you.